Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We continue with a preview of World Cup qualifiers. The final round of qualifying in the CONCACAF region, the octagonal stage, is into its fourth round. At about 6:30 p.m. Jamaica time, 7:30 p.m. in the Eastern Caribbean, the USA will look to preserve their unbeaten start in this group when they host Jamaica's Reggae Boys at the sold-out Q2 Arena in Austin, Texas. Honduras and Costa Rica will both hunt their first win when they lock horns at the Metropolitan Olympic Stadium in San Pedro Sula. Canada will attempt the arduous task of beating Mexico at the Azteca Stadium, a feat they haven't accomplished in the iconic venue since 1976. And at Central America's biggest sporting arena, the 53,000 capacity Cuscatlán Stadium, host Salvador will play Panama. El Salvador are winless in their 3 games to date. So George and Lance, we're continuing our discussion with the World Cup qualifiers. So maybe it's fitting that I start with the big match, the one that we have a vested interest in, Jamaica up against USA. You go.
To say that...
I mean, how will it play out? That's the question.
Jamaica will do a lot of defending. The US, recognizing that there are issues concerning team chemistry in the Reggae Boys camp, will go for the jugular vein. They will try to impose themselves early. They'll try to hog possession, and they'll press for an early goal to make what they consider to be discord and disarray within the Reggae Boys team, to exacerbate those things, and they look to win the game from the first half. For their part, the Jamaicans will be trying to, they know that the Americans are going to come hard, come pressing hard, high press. So they're going to try to win that ball and try to use their speed on the counter-attack. Now, there hasn't been much cohesion in Jamaica's counter-attack play for much of the qualifiers thus far, but there have been occasions when it has connected and they have got something at the end. The question for the Jamaicans is, if Shamar Nicholson gets 1 or only 2 chances, can he bury them? Theodore Whitmore is depending on that, because they won't have many chances, I don't think. They have to capitalize on those that they will fashion, and in defense they're going to have to be strong. So I think the US are going to come high octane, high press. The Reggae Boys are going to try to weather the storm and try to hit them hard on the counter. That's how I see it.
And Lance, what about the fact that they're playing against a USA sold-out crowd? Because that has been making the headlines, and I tend to believe that crowd plays a massive factor in the manner in which a game goes.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they would have an advantage?
Of course they have an advantage. The match is being played in Texas. It's not even where in one of those, parts or cities of the USA where the Caribbean diaspora is strong. So it's very easy to see the 60,000 crowd this evening being highly partisan in favor of the USA. And as George said, they would want to impose themselves on the game from early. The Jamaicans have not looked good so far in these playoffs, and the Americans know that. So they want to keep them in that zone where they are feeling for their best form. And the USA, I'm pretty certain, is going to have an attitude to stamp their authority early and not allow the Jamaicans to flourish. I see a game where Andre Blake, the Jamaica captain and goalkeeper, will be very busy. And the Americans respect him highly because he's one of the top goalkeepers in the MLS for Philadelphia Union, and he has been probably, on weight of performance over the last 2 or 3 years, probably the best goalkeeper in the MLS. So
what?
The Americans respect him.
What?
What do you mean?
Probably?
Yeah, probably.
There's no probability for me.
So he's
the last 4, yeah, for sure. 2017 was what, 4 years ago? Since that Gold Cup, Andre Blake has been the best keeper in the MLS for me. So I'm only lifting what you've said to a little higher level.
Yeah, he wasn't the #1 goalkeeper last on the All-Star team last season.
But they were mitigating. Wasn't that an injury disrupted season for him though?
No, not really. He maybe just a small part of the season, but on average.
Right. So I'm just saying, form over the 4 years since 2017. I would say in totality, he is.
Well, the big point here is that the Americans respect him. They know how good a goalkeeper he is, so they are not likely to beat him with flimsy goals. So they have to set themselves up to score proper goals against this outstanding goalkeeper. But the defence will have to be strong, George. We've seen where there have been many defensive lapses. George and Mariah for the Reggae Boys since the start of these qualifiers, and they can't afford to have that against this USA team. It's a very organized team. I know Pulisic isn't playing, Reina isn't playing, they're both injured, but they have some fringe players who are very capable of hitting the net with regularity, and we've seen that. We saw the USA for several friendlies in the first half of the year using, you know, well, even the Gold Cup performance was, you know, I think it wasn't really the nucleus of the US,
team,
and they won. So it just tells you that they have a lot of good replacement players. So Jamaica will not feel in any way encouraged by key US players missing this fixture, because it's going to be tough either way.
Yeah, and George, that's actually where I wanted to take the discussion, the depth of the USA team despite missing a lot of key players.
Well, the USA program is huge. The USA has, there was a time when you had, I don't want to say token, but the number of players you had in Europe connected to to Team USA, you had a few here and there. You had a few in Germany. Now you have a lot in Germany, and you have Americans all over. And the Americans have come to a level now where they are respected in European football. They aren't seen as some boys who play soccer back home trying a thing in Europe. They are respected. London Donovan did a heck of a lot for them with his spells on loan at Everton. Clint Dempsey did a lot for them. The former Tottenham Hotspur and Fulham star, he was a star at both clubs. Brian McBride did a lot for them as well. So the American reputation in football on the continent is huge. And if you're respected in football in Europe, then you're respected in football in the world. I say that the Americans today will look to exploit the fact that Jamaica, the most glaring weakness in the Reggae Boys team, Lance, is in which position?
Defense. Glaring weakness?
Yes.
Well, I would say midfield is a problem.
Right. Yeah, I know we've been talking about midfield.
No,
midfield is a problem.
Right.
But in the Panama game, the defense looked wretched.
But the midfield was the underlying problem.
But you know very well that if you don't have a quality defensive midfielder, you could have the best defense in the world is going to come under pressure, as Manchester United are finding out with Fred in defensive midfield. So the position in the Reggae Boys team, which is the weakest, defensive midfield, the Americans are going to exploit that with overloads in the midfield area. They're going to be hunting in packs. And when we get on the ball in the center of the park, the man in possession, there will be fervent attempts to shut him down, to prevent him from picking a pass, forcing him to pass early. The earlier you pass, the more likely you are to turn over possession. The fact is, if you watch the Nations League semi-finals yesterday, which was Wednesday and today, the outstanding players in the four teams were the defensive midfielders. Yesterday, Spain beat Italy with Sergio Busquets as the man. In football, you call it the first receiver. So he's the man in the midfield who receives the ball from the defense first, and he starts the play. He was excellent. Jorginho and Verratti, as the game grew older for Italy, were also good. But Sergio Busquets was outstanding right throughout. And the defensive midfielders in France versus Belgium earlier today were also good. The Reggae Boys don't have that quality player in the squad, and so it's hard for the team to play, which is why Damian Lowe and company win the ball. It's a 30-yard pass. It's a Hail Mary trying to bypass the midfield because there's nothing going on in the midfield, trying to hit one of the forwards.
But Coach Whitmore told us last week that he doesn't buy that.
Well, the fact is, Coach Whitmore doesn't buy that is not the issue. The evidence shows. Remember, I said to him, he didn't buy that before. I said to him, well, I counted the number of long passes that Damian Lowe was making across both games. And if he made 13 long passes, he only found his man twice. That's not good enough because you're giving the ball away 11 times. So the fact is, that glaring weakness in the Reggae Boys team is going to be exploited today, or they're going to attempt to exploit it. The USA will, and it's just a matter of if they can survive that.
One of the things that Jamaican fans will look at, though, is that back in 1998, when the Jamaicans had qualified, they also had a very bad start to the World Cup qualifying campaign in the final round. Granted, it was a hex then, not the octagon as now, 6 teams in the final. But after 3 games, which is where we are at now, Jamaica had drawn 0-0 with the USA, 0-0 with Canada, and lost 6-0 to Mexico. So yes, they had 2 points, 1 more than they have now, but they hadn't scored a goal yet and had been beaten properly by Mexico 6-0. And they recovered from that to advance to the World Cup finals in France. I say that to say that even though things look very dismal for the Jamaican team at the moment, there's a lot of time for them to recover. The problem is that they have to implement changes in the team and quality performances quickly to get those results.
Yeah.
There was a report in the newspaper today that said that the JFF is warning Whitmore that he doesn't get at least 5 points out of the 3 upcoming games. His job is on the line. Now, I haven't been able to verify the story, but it was a Gleaner report today that said that, which runs contrary to what Whitmore has told us.
Yes.
And what Whitmore said in the press conference yesterday, that he, as far as he's concerned, he's the coach. But then again, you know, he probably wouldn't publicly have said it himself if there was the right act read to him by the JFF. So there's a lot of pressure going into these 3 games, because the general feeling is that if the Jamaicans don't play better in these 3 games and get better results in these 3 games than they did in the first 3, it could be curtains. Forget what I just said about trying to recover from a bad position, but they need to start getting points now.
You know, though, I don't know. I know the parallel isn't being drawn by you, but for those who are looking at similarity between 98 and now, I'm saying, well, I'm not seeing that though, Mariah, because the 98 team was a far different team from this. The 98 team had that C word that Professor
It's just mathematical, though. The statement was just mathematical.
And then the other teams have gotten better. We're talking about teams that improved throughout the years. They didn't decline.
But our team was better then. That's the point I'm making. And the team had the chemistry that this team doesn't have. This team has individuals who should be making the Reggae Boys uproot trees, but it's just the blend and the mix and the influx of foreign. You get a group of 5 players here, a group of 4 there, then the local players, then the players in the USL. Then so it's been difficult for Whitmore to let everything come together. That's the difficulty that he's having.
The time has been against him. Let's be honest. You know, the time factor.
But COVID affects everybody, though.
Yeah.
I'm giving him excuses, but I'm not giving him every excuse. And I'm not giving him COVID, because every coach has been victimized by COVID. So I'm not giving him that. But I think that there are mitigating factors to the team's poor start to the qualifying section so far. I'd say that.
Well, let's put it this way. The USA are one of the undefeated teams so far in the CONCACAF 2022 World Cup qualifiers. And the Jamaicans have a target tonight. That target is taking some points from the USA. As we go to the break, can the Reggae Boys secure a minimum of 5 points in their next 3 World Cup qualifiers against the USA, Canada and Honduras? Send us a voice note to 1-876-564-7661, and that will be played later on our show today. Coming up, international netball returns to Jamaica as the Sunshine Girls get set to face TNT in a 3-match series. Plus, it's Thursday. This means I'll have all the latest from the Sport of Kings as we take you to the track.